If you're a level 67 plus at Microsoft and you're not thinking about this right now, you're probably leaving money on the table. If you're a level 67 or higher at Microsoft, then you're eligible for their Deferred Compensation Plan. This is an extremely powerful tax benefit that you have available to you, and it allows you to defer up to 100% of your annual bonus and up to 75% of your base salary each year. Now, that can be incredibly powerful because if you're a high earning Microsoft executive, you're probably up there in maybe the highest 37% marginal tax bracket or around there. And so being able to defer income above and beyond your standard 401k could be extremely beneficial. Now, deferred compensation is similar to a 401k in some ways, and so your contributions into a DCP account can be invested much like the 401k. Those investments then grow tax deferred, and then when you make your deferral election, you also choose the payout structure of those deferrals. So you have to choose when do you want to receive those payments eventually down the road from Microsoft. And so the benefit is you're lowering your taxable income today as a high earner. Those deferrals are growing, invested in growing tax deferred, and then they're paid out to you at a later time. And the idea is to choose a payout structure when you're in a lower income environment. So why does this matter? Well, as a high earning executive at Microsoft, you're most likely in one of the top marginal tax brackets, maybe the 37% highest tax bracket or 35%. And there's really only so many options that you have to reduce those taxes each year. As a Microsoft employee, you have a few different sources of income. You have your base salary, your annual bonus, and then vesting Microsoft stock. Now, the Microsoft RSUs, or the vesting stock, can actually make up a pretty significant amount of your annual income. And there's really nothing that you can do about that. That's going to be recognized income as soon as those shares vest, most likely quarterly, and there's no way to defer that. And so that's why deferred comp can be really the best option that you have to reduce taxes, because again, you can defer up to 75% of your salary and up to 100% of your bonus. Between that and the 401k, those are really the main tax levers that you have. And the idea is that you're deferring this income today in a year where you're in that top marginal tax bracket, and then you're choosing to receive the payouts from deferred comp at a later date, perhaps in retirement when you're in a lower tax environment. So deferred compensation sounds great, and it is great, but it can be pretty complicated to really optimize for yourself. It takes some intensive cash flow planning, and then you also have to think about that payout structure when you want to receive those distributions from deferred comp later on. So there is a lot that goes into it. Year to year, it's really having a good sense of what your cash flow is, because you're likely going to be deferring a lot of salary and bonus. Your paycheck is going to be smaller. And that's where understanding your stock income becomes a big factor. You really want to start relying on the vesting Microsoft stock to support your cash flow in place of that deferred income. Now, in terms of choosing the payout structure of deferred compensation, that also can be a pretty complicated thing to tackle. You really want to think about when you'll potentially be retiring, because ideally we want deferred compensation to pay back out to you when you don't have employment income and you're potentially in a lower tax environment. That's really when you can start to get that big bang for your buck on the tax savings, the tax deferred growth of the DCP account, and then having that paid out to you in those lower tax years. Some common mistakes that we see is people choosing to just simply have deferred compensation start paying out at separation from Microsoft. At first, it sounds like it would make sense. Oh, as soon as I leave Microsoft, I will start receiving those distributions. But if you are 55 and 15 eligible, meaning once you leave Microsoft, if you're over the age of 55 and you've been there at least 15 years, you'll have continued Microsoft stock vesting for those first 4 years of retirement. That can still be a significant amount of income, especially in those first couple of years. And if you have deferred comp start paying out right away after you leave Microsoft, that can potentially stack that income right on top of those continued vesting Microsoft shares and put you right back in that highest tax bracket. Fortunately, you also have the ability to choose a specific start date of payouts for deferred compensation. And so what we often do when we work with folks is, one, you want to have as good of an idea as you can about what are your plans to retire, when do you want to retire, when does it make sense, and then two, choosing those specific payout start dates to not fully overlap with the continued Microsoft stock vesting. In terms of the payout structure for deferred compensation, there's also some decisions that need to be made there. You have a few options. You can choose for a deferral payout to occur as a lump sum in 1 year, or you can choose annual installments between 3 and 15 years long. And we really want to get that payout structure decision correct the first time, because there are some limitations on changing the payout structure once you've already made that election. We do see often that folks will choose lump sum payouts, and sometimes that can be a mistake because having an entire deferral pay back out to you in one lump sum in 1 year could spike income again and put you right back in that top marginal tax bracket. And so oftentimes it does make sense to stretch these payouts out over several years in retirement to try to keep you in a lower income environment. If you are level 67 or higher at Microsoft, deferred comp is one of the most powerful tax levers that you have, but it is just one piece of the big picture. There's still other Microsoft benefits that are great to take advantage of. Your standard 401k, the mega backdoor Roth 401k, managing cash flow with your RSUs, that vest in Microsoft stock, it all fits together. And deferred compensation is not just about lowering taxes this year, but it's about controlling your taxes over the next several decades, really. If you are eligible for Microsoft's DCP and you want to understand how to better optimize that for your specific situation, feel free to schedule a 30-minute call below.